For 50 years, I searched for the moment humanity should have collapsed. Then you spent 50 years watching the wrong species give up.
Kessarel Voth had outlived 3 research grants, 2 academic scandals, and 1 small war on her home reef world of Ithane, but she had never outlived her fascination with humans. She sat now in the observation dome of Station Ilmaris, orbiting a planet the humans called Earth, though her own people had simply designated it Subject World 7. 50 years. 50 years of watching, recording, cataloging every skirmish, every collapse, every strange and stubborn refusal to die that this species seemed engineered for. Tonight, her transmission crystal blinked patiently beside her, waiting to carry her final report across 11,000 light-years to the archive assembly. She was old now by the standards of her kind. Her fins had dulled from cobalt to gray. Her breathing sacs wheezed faintly when she moved too quickly. This report would be the last thing she ever sent home. She intended to make it count. Recording, she said, and the crystal hummed to life. Kessarel began, as she always did, with humility she did not entirely feel. I was sent here in the year 3184 of the Athenic calendar to study a species the Assembly considered a footnote, she said. Subject World 7 was flagged as low priority. A fragile, short-lived species with no unified government, no faster-than-light technology, and a violent internal history that suggested they would either destroy themselves or be absorbed by a stronger neighbor within 2 centuries. I was, frankly, given this assignment because no one else wanted it. She paused, letting the silence stretch, the way she used to pause in university lecture halls to make her students lean forward. I have spent 5 decades revising that assessment, she said. I would like to tell you why. She spoke first of Amara Isikeli, a woman from a coastal city in what humans called West Africa, who Kessarel had observed during the coral collapse of 3201. The ocean had turned against the humans that decade, acidified, emptied, dying by degrees. Isikeli was not a soldier or a scientist. She was, by human standards, unremarkable. A fisherwoman who had lost her boat, her harbor, and eventually her home to the rising water. She did not have the resources to leave, Kessarel reported. She did not have the technology to fix what was broken. What she had was 300 neighbors, a flooded schoolhouse, and an idea. She turned the schoolhouse roof into a garden. She taught children to grow food in gutters and drainpipes. Within 4 years, what I had catalogued as a dying village had become a self-sufficient commune that outlived the crisis by 3 decades. Kessarel remembered watching Isikeli teach a child to plant seeds in a broken drainage pipe, and feeling something she had not expected to feel about a species she had been sent to study like an insect colony. She had felt respect. This is not a victory of technology, she told the crystal. This is a victory of refusal. The refusal to accept that loss is final. She spoke next of Tobias Marrow, a mine safety inspector from a mountain town who, during the Vantral incursion of 3219, when a scouting vessel from a hostile species misjudged a diplomatic exchange and opened fire on a human settlement, organized the evacuation of 11,000 people through a mountain pass using nothing but hand radios and decades-old mining maps. He had no military training. He was, in his own words, just a guy who knew which tunnels did not flood. He did not know if he would succeed, Kessarel noted. He did not know if the tunnels he remembered from 30 years prior still stood. He went anyway, and he did not stop moving people through that pass for 11 consecutive hours, past the point of his own physical collapse. I have studied species with superior physiology, superior instincts of self-preservation. None of them behave this way as a matter of routine. She spoke, too, of the failures because a scientist who reports only victories is not a scientist. She spoke of the wars, the cruelties, the decades humans spent doing terrible things to one another and to the world that fed them. She did not soften this. The Assembly would not respect a report that lied by omission. They are not a species of saints, Kessarel said. I want that understood clearly. I have watched them build weapons that shame our own arsenals. I have watched them look directly at a dying ocean and argue about who should pay to save it. They are flawed in ways that are, at times, difficult to witness. But I have also watched a fisherwoman rebuild a village with a drainpipe and a stubborn heart. I have watched a mine inspector walk into darkness 11 times because the 12th trip might save one more family. And I have come to understand something the Assembly's original assessment missed entirely. Their victories were never going to come from strength. They were going to come from persistence. Kessarel rose from her chair, slowly, her old joints protesting, and moved to the dome's curved window. Below her, Earth turned in its slow blue arc, oceans and continents sliding past in silence. Somewhere down there, in a city she could not see, a version of Amara Isikeli's grandchildren were likely still tending gardens and gutters. Somewhere down there, mine inspectors still memorized tunnels nobody else bothered to learn. I am recommending, she said, and her voice, for the first time in the recording, wavered slightly, that Subject World 7's threat classification be permanently altered. Not because they are dangerous, though they can be, but because I no longer believe they can be predicted using the models this assembly relies upon. Every projection I filed in my first decade here has been wrong. I predicted collapse. I found resilience instead. I am an old woman now by the reckoning of my people. I will not see another 50 years of this species' history. But I do not need to. I have seen enough. She looked down at the crystal, glowing faintly in her weathered hand. Let the record show that I came here to study a footnote, and I am leaving having studied a miracle, she said. Not because they were given more than other species. Because they were given the same as everyone else and they simply refused to stop. She set the crystal into its transmission cradle. The final line of her report, she decided, would not be data. It would be the only conclusion 50 years had truly taught her. This is Kessarel Voth, closing Subject World 7's file for the last time, she said. Recommendation. Watch them. Not because they are weak. Because they have never once given us reason to believe they will stay down. The crystal pulsed once and carried her words into the dark, toward a home she would likely never see again, leaving behind, on the blue world below, a species that would never know it had been watched and would never know it had, in the end, been believed in.